let's kick it off. And if Trader Sync, if you want to kind of give a few minutes on like how you got into journaling your trades, and then like a little bit on like why you started a platform around that, and then we'll go through each speaker and just talk about what your process is like. When do you journal? What do you typically put into that journal, and why do you do it? We'll go from there. But you want to start us off?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess from a standpoint, so everyone is starting out with trading, we always come to, having trading mistakes. Well, when we come into actually having a loss at the end of the day, we actually have those questions and saying, well, why did I lose in this trade? Was it something to do with my setup? Was it the way I approached the market? Was it the way I executed my trade? And so, earlier as a trader, especially being a day trader, being a lot more technical, a lot of that stuff and questions that you can have it answered in a quantifiable manner. So, starting out, I'm sure a lot of people have been through this ropes before. We had Excel sheets where you could run it right down, basic formulas, figure out what your risk reward was, what your expectancy was on a trade, what your win rate was, as well as how different performances or setups perform there. Now, moving forward after that, us also being day traders, we also said, okay, well, we're trading, thousands of trades on any given year using Excel sheets. They only have so much bandwidth. So moving forward onto that, we said, okay, well, we need a software that for one can give us, quick and accessible data. Quite often when we were getting logged into the Excel sheets there, we were spending 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes on any given day, just trying to figure out, what is actually going right or wrong within my trading. So the software was a big step up. We took a lot of different research from other platforms out there. And then back in 2014, we actually started with our first beta version, which was essentially bringing, an export from your journal or from your broker into the software, being able to do various reporting on different technical stuff within your actual portfolio. And then over the last 3.5 years, we've just really been focusing on improving the UI, making sure it's really nice in the eyes, and making sure that, if you lose money or win money, you get a lot of actual data from using the journal.
Very cool. Great start. Yeah, I think that kind of nails it on the head. Now I would like to just go to each speaker, give each speaker a little bit of time to once again speak about how you got into this, why you do it, what your style is, when you do it, just hit on all the variables and anything else you want to add. Juicy, you want to kick it off?
Hey guys, so yeah, I'd love to kick it off. So for me, you guys know, probably seen me around and see some of my students around. My name is Xavier. I pretty much run Juicy Trades. I'm pretty much an active intraday trader, day trader primarily. I do like to hold runners anytime I get into a winner. I believe that you can roll in the profits and hold those overnight. I do swing trade here and there, but I mainly invest the profits I make for day trading back into an investing account that which I hold overnight. Now, I'm a big preacher of process, especially if you guys are going to be a day trader. As a day trader, like discipline, process is everything, right? And technicals are everything. Like if you're going to be a day trader, technicals are everything. And you can't really develop a process until you start logging your trades. And later tonight, I'll legitimately break down how I do that. But when you log your trades, it really develops that discipline. Like a lot of people are like, yo, how are you so disciplined to watch the market go up and you not do anything if you don't have a setup? That comes from losing, logging, reviewing, seeing what I'm doing wrong, and then not getting into the market because I've already memorized it. I truly believe if you take a picture of your trade and you look at it, it goes into your brain and it's there forever, right? So anything that you did, you just won't repeat those mistakes, and those mistakes come out of your trading, and then your P&L has no choice but to go up. And knowing your stats is everything in this game, right? If I know I'm shooting 8 for 10 and my average win rate's 40%, I know my statistics, and my average loss is 20%. All I have to do is scale that number up, right? Scale what I'm putting into the trade up to make more money. But if your stats are off, let's just say your average win rate's 20%, and let's just say your average gain is a 15%, and your average loss is a 60%, you need to make some adjustments in your trading plan and process, but you won't know any of that if you don't log your trades, right? So logging your trades for me was the sole thing. I blown 4 accounts up. When I got to account 3, I saw an immediate growth because I started logging my trades and I approached the market in a different manner. But for me, logging your trades is literally the foundation for your success. And if you don't have that, you're not going to get far. But I don't hook the mic up too much. I'm going to let everybody else go. I'm going to pass it back to Wolf.
Thank you, Juicy. That was a great start. Okay, Vegas, all you.
Well, you know what? I will say that, in the past, I wouldn't really journal personally. I would just, watch, my trades, look at previous historical P&Ls and go, oh, that wasn't good. Oh, what I do there. But, journaling, it was hard for me to find a platform with TraderSync, because they can accommodate brokers in Canada, and so I couldn't find something that could journal for Canadian platforms. So they do have over 240 platforms, and obviously they do accommodate the Canadian ones, which is so much appreciated. Um, the thing is, with the journaling for me, it helps me actually clear my mind and also to help me understand what decisions I made on this trade. Why did I take that and reflect on it? And it also helps me to look at, what do I need improvement on? Like, am I going in, my winning trades mostly in the afternoon or sometimes in the morning, or is it the reverse? I notice sometimes certain days of the week seem to trade better than others. So I really look for some trends, and the purpose really for the journaling for me is for me to identify, areas of development. I mean, it's almost like oops, almost like a coach, trade coach. I don't have someone that sits beside me and sorry about that, sits beside me and actually tells me, oh, you're chasing this one, or you sold this one too soon. Where the journal can actually give me that opportunity. So I use it as a coaching method for my own self, because it's almost like a critique, but a very unbiased critique.
That's
Sorry,
a
my
really,
dog's barking.
yeah. That's a really good start. I am going to dig in further to each one of these as we go along, but I do want to give everybody some initial time. Andrew, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. What's going on, everyone? Yeah, the trade journaling is super important. I really got my start with trade journaling when I started prop trading a couple years back. And yeah, in prop trading, it's really all about like defining, what your edges are and turning those into, legitimate plays in a playbook. It's like any sport where you drop a play, you run your play, and you see how your play did. So that's where I really got into the mindset of like, okay, everything needs to be journaled, everything needs to be accounted for. And back then, I used this software that was just horrible. It's called Trade Bench. And yeah, you had to put everything in manually. It was, it would take a while after the market closed to really get everything done. And it has really helped me. And I will say, like, once I really went off on my own, there's periods where things are going super well. And I'll admit that that's when oftentimes I'll, fall off on the journaling. And it's kind of like, oh, okay, I sort of know my stats in my head. So that's actually one of my goals for 2022, really get back into the journaling and be on like a super strict regimen with it. And I already noticed, really ever since our last spaces, I was like, okay, let me just start digging in again rather than doing it like once a week, do it every single day. And it's honestly like the best investment of your time ever. Like if you can take like an hour that you're spending, watching YouTube, or an hour that you're spending like, researching stocks, and just spend that hour, that honestly like that 15 minutes taking a look at your results, it will really help you identify your bad habits. Because I'm more of a swing trader. It's like I'll buy a stock or, an options contract. A lot of times I'll hold it for like a couple of weeks. Sometimes I'll hold it for a couple of months, really as long as the asset will allow me to stay in it. And honestly, like I sort of get like a high, because when you're in the heat of the moment and the market is open, you'll make a decision. And once you make that decision, you might be like running on to like a million other things. Like, okay, now I need to take this phone call. Now I need to check this out. Now I'm looking at something else. And you kind of like lose track of what you did. And when you're journaling, it allows you to see with perfect 2020 hindsight, where you entered that stock or where you entered that option. And one of the things that I kind of love is when I look back at my journaling and I see like, oh, I took a trade that really wasn't even in my playbook. Like, why did I do that? And it gets pretty exciting because you start to see like, wow, if I just eliminated like that one bad trade from my, process, like how would that have impacted my P&L? And it really just, unlocks a lot of opportunities for growth. So yeah, this the trading platform TraderSync, it is just awesome in that you can just import your trades. Like I don't have to manually punch them all in. and yeah, you get all that insight at your fingertips. So yeah, it's really really good stuff.
Really agree. Yeah, very true. It helps be able to see things from kind of that bird's eye view. Okay, TSDR, all you.
Hello, hello. Just running downstairs. I got some crying kids upstairs that I'm hiding from. Um, yeah, hi, I'm Patrick. I run this TSDR Twitter page. I chose the name TSDR, Tell, Show, Do, Review, actually when I was teaching my kids how to brush their teeth and potty training them. It's a very common educational technique of that's used on children, where you tell them how to do it, you show them how to do it, you do it yourself, and then you review it with them together. And it just jumped out to me that that's how I like to be taught, and I like to hammer on the review aspect because I think it's one of the most important things in being analytical and knowing where you can improve and where your strengths are, which it is an incredibly important skill to have as a trader or any sort of business that you're running, and reviewing your trades to me is, I mean, we're all going to probably say pretty similar things, but one of the most, if not the most important thing you can do to improve your P&L, your success rate, and limit your losses, because it shows you in point blank what you're doing wrong in a data way, and that's very important to me. So, for example, today, I did a lot of those things that I was working on not doing so much this year, and it was really frustrating. So I've spent a lot of time this afternoon and this evening going through every single one of my trades, basically tick by tick, and seeing where I could have done better, what I was thinking at that time. Those aren't necessarily things that data can give you, but reviewing them yourself is very important as well. I often have too tight of a stop because I know that my win rate is below 50%, so I need to have smaller losses and bigger wins. Uh, so previously, I've always kept very tight stops, and it is sometimes very frustrating because I'll get stopped out of something, and then, you know, 5, 10, 15 minutes later, that stock will end up doing exactly what I expected it to. So my plan for this year, and something that I'm really working on, is to lower my position size so I can have a wider stop, so I can let the setup, let the stock, let the chart do what I know that it's going to, or I believe has a decent probability of doing. Um, and again, I'd like to hammer on position sizing. So if I lower my stop, I have to lower my position size to keep the same amount of risk on the trade. If I'm risking $100 and the stock is $100 and my stop is $1, I can take 100 shares. If I want to lower my stop to $2 and keep the $100 risk, I can risk $2, or I can take 50 shares. Um, Anyways, it all comes back to when I found out that my average win rate is 43%, and my average winning trade, I make over 2 times more than my average losing trade. That I was like, wow, that is flying. That is data that just speaks to me. So I'm going to hammer on that. And yeah, that's what I've got for now.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you made there. And for anybody that's listening, like, if you, like most people have, if you're trading actively, I would say a lot of people have less than 50% win. So it's very important, to do what you were mentioning there with TSR, with the tight stops, with understanding where your wins are, the sizing and everything. And that's a lot of the stuff that, on a journaling platform, you're going to be able to see, especially one, that breaks it down accurately for you. I don't really know any others other than TraderSync. I'm sure there are others, but this is the one that I know that I use. So on TraderSync, like, I can see everything from, my yearly win rate. I can see my win rate in specific months. I can see my win rate on specific size stocks. I can see my win rate on specific days of the week. There's like all these things to try to calculate your data to basically, just get you to be better. And I think that this applies to a lot of areas of life. For whatever you do, analytics are becoming extremely prevalent, right? If you're a big NFL fan, you understand the analytics of going for it on fourth down, of going for two, of, whatever it is. If you're a big spaces person like me, I look at spaces analytics, all the time. I do have a direct connection with Twitter Spaces, so I have a little bit of access to some data that others don't. So I'll look for, which days are going to be the most active. I'll look for times that are specifically active. I am on multiple of these, up and coming services that are now like trying to do like spaces, like other stuff like that. But like whatever your job is, you're going to be looking at that. So if you are trying to make income off of investing and trading, which I don't know why you're doing it if you're not going to, then it is in fact a job for you. Whether it's a side hustle, whatever, it is a job, and it helps to bring analytics into the workplace, especially in 2022. We can say that now. All right. One more that I brought up was Simply Sim, who chatted with me a couple weeks ago, and you did mention that you've used TraderSync in the past and other people do, and just wanted to hear why you are trading or why you are journaling, and if you had any thoughts you wanted to add before we dive a little bit deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for bringing me on. It's funny that you did this today. Myself, Juicy, and Vegas were on a space yesterday, and we were actually talking about this, was journaling your trades. The thing that I really like about TraderSync is how user-friendly it is, right? There's a lot of other types of journaling softwares and things out there, but it's not as user-friendly. Now, the thing that I like the most is when you're looking at the potential performance and then your management, right? So you can clearly see kind of every single day throughout the week where you've been successful, where you haven't been successful. It's very clear data. It's shown in a way where, like I said, it's super user friendly. Going through the different tabs, the different widgets and things that you add, it's very simplistic. I think that provides a lot of value to new traders who are just trying to jump into the market, and they're trying to find something that they can use where they're not actually physically writing it down. Now, when I started, I was physically just, writing down my entries during that time. I think this provides something that is super user friendly, and it's very beginner friendly, and it's not intimidating at all, right? But it clearly lays out that data for you. I was talking to Juicy in Vegas yesterday and a couple other people about how there's a couple of people that are my members right now that I always refer them to this. For now, just because I still do journal my trades. I don't do it as often, but I do always let them know that this is the software that I did use. Uh, Again, because of the way that it's so super user friendly, it's laid out right in front of you. There's no hiding in this, right? And I think that because it's such transparent data at that time, it's really going to be the most simplistic way to be able to grow your portfolio. Just like Vegas was saying, it's essentially having a coach by your side. I don't think there's any other platform that really does that for you. So, thank you guys for having me on. And TraderSync, this is an amazing platform for anybody who's, considering something like this. This is the way to go. Why? Again, the transparency, how user friendly it is, and how beginner friendly it is. I think that helps out a lot of people.
Appreciate those comments.
Cool. So let's actually bring it back to you, TraderSync. I'm curious, you have maybe more of this data. What's been the biggest feedback from people as to, why they stick with it? Like, what do people typically see over time? Do they gravitate towards certain features? Do they, like to look back? Like, just like what is keeping people going with this? What's some of the most positive, areas? And then what are some features which, you are trying to build out because they've been requested? Like, what do people want to do with their journaling?
Yeah, for sure. So I can even piggyback on that just from my own endeavors in journaling with TraderSync. There's a few things, obviously, over time that really get evident and a lot more prominent in what you're seeing. So first is, you get a lot more data. Your journal is going to get a lot more accurate. So you can imagine, you guys go and log your first 5, 10, 15 trades. Sure, you're going to see some results and maybe some similarities between certain things. But at the end of the day, if you start to getting to logging, 100, 500, 1,000, 2,000 trades, you're going to really start to get those crystal clear ideas on what's working and what's not working within your trading plan. So for instance, what I like to do is, so you can kind of break it down to almost like a 6-month or 12-month roadmap and saying, okay, well, this is my trading plan. I'm going to upload all my trades, start to do work and saying, okay, what are my top mistakes? What are my top traded setups? Then I'd like to go and do some drill down reports. So, once I have my trades logged, I got enough data in there. Now, okay, well, let's just run through maybe my top 5 setups. When are they most prominent? When do they work the best? What time frame of the day do they work? What types of sectors do these setups work the best with? What's my average hold time with these setups? So really getting down to, okay, do I know exactly what my stats are for each one of these setups? And on the contrary, going through all of these lists of trades, accumulating all these losses, and then running a mistake report. So what I usually do is I do this every week, every month, every year. Just go through all my top losers and then try to find a commonality between that, right? So if it's something to do with over trading, well, I'll start to take how many over trading trades I take or taken over last week, month, year, etc. And then I'll start to say, okay, well, if I've taken X amount of percentage of my mistakes as over trading, that's one mistake that I really have to focus on drilling down on this coming week. So I'll do that, weekly, monthly, and yearly, like I said. So I'll go and do a report on all my setups for this week. And then I'll do a benchmark, right? So I'll look and see, okay, well, how do I usually trade these setups on the last month, last year? And then I can start to see, okay, well, these setups are working better. Maybe is it because the market's helping this movement? Or is it because, I'm trading this setup a lot more cleaner? So that's another question that obviously you have to go and dive in on. But that's, obviously been the progression with my journal. And then on the same token, any of you guys that are trying to test out new trading strategies, whether you're trading on a simulator or whatever it may be, same thing. Go and set up a new portfolio on your TraderSync, test those strategies, put them into the trading plan, see how profitable the trading plan is, and if it's, got some success and feasible to actually pursue, and then go with the ropes there. So that's kind of been my progression. And then in terms of the features, we all know there's been a huge surge in the crypto space in the last few years. So we've been really, really strong on getting as many crypto integrations with exchanges as possible. The one downside is obviously with, everything being a lot more decentralized, it's quite hard for us to go and get access to the data, to the APIs, and make all the same connections because everyone's backend is different. So that's been a going issue. But at the same time, we have Binance, I believe Coinbase, and 2 other exchanges at the moment. And then likewise, our team's actively pursuing those new exchanges to add there. We have a couple other features. We have a custom tags feature, which just got released in the last month. It's a kind of a cool tag where essentially any of you guys out there that want to just set up a new tag to report on, right? Maybe it's certain targets you want to hit. Maybe it's about scaling out. Maybe it's about tracking emotions within your trading. We can build out this custom tag parameter, and then in the future, we're going to be releasing reporting tools. So same thing, you could run a report on emotions and take that with a setup or take that with a mistake and see how those different variables or filters overlay there. So there's going to be a lot more updates and documentation around that in the coming months. But as for now, that's pretty much been it on ropes for us.
One more time, what was that last part? Sorry, cut out for me.
Oh, sorry, I just said that's pretty much it on the roadmap. Likewise, only other thing that we're working on is obviously just speed and improvement as the user base grows. We always want to make sure that people get the best user-friendly and speed platform from using TraderSync. So that's always on our agenda.
Awesome. Okay, a couple of hard-hitting questions. So we wanted to talk about mistakes in this. I think it's important to be transparent and talk about mistakes.
Yeah.
I'll start out with you if you want to go first. We were telling people what are some of the mistakes that you realized you were having because you journaled, and were you able to correct them, or how did you correct them?
Was that directed towards me?
Yeah, if you want to go first. I'm going to have everybody for that.
So for me, and this is why I like TraderSync, I think you need to log in a different way, right? So when I first work with traders, it's always the same. It's I logged my trades and they showed me this Excel sheet and it shows me the stats. I took this trade today, I made some money. I took that trade today, I lost some money. So if you're losing money and you show me just these numbers that you lost money, I can't say nothing to you, but besides the fact that you lost money. But if you show me a picture, right? This is where it starts. This is where you start to grow. You need to take a picture of your entry time frame. Me, I'm a day trader, so the 5 minute and the 1 minute are going to be crucial. I'm going to have detailed documentation of arrows pointing where I got in, why I got out, looking at circling volume, things of that nature. Then I'm going to take it to the hour chart. Then I'm going to take it to the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. I'm going to have all that there, okay? So once you get there and you have that, we can start to compare your losses and start talking about mistakes. So for me, once I started doing this, I noticed that, number one, it was any day that I took a red trade at open, it was a series of bad trades right after. I overtraded. I was jumping from trade to trade. I was cutting trades really early. As soon as I get in, I'd be down 1%. I'd get right out of the trade. And it wasn't until I started taking pictures and started learning and looking at my trades where I was like, okay, well, here's mistake number one. After I take a losing trade, I get emotional. And I would never have known that unless I started taking pictures of that. And number two, the other thing I was doing was I was realizing that there were weeks I did well, and that's where I journaled. I would only trade setups in those weeks. The weeks I did not journal, man, I was all over the place. Man, I was like, I couldn't even explain to myself why I got into the trade, right? So for me, journaling has really helped me identify the mistakes of sticking to your process, staying within your plan, and only trading your plan. Now when you start journaling and taking pictures, you start to focus on the edge. Now that I got these journals here, now that I have all these pictures here and all this data here, I'm shooting 50-50. How can I, tip that scale up to 60-40? 70-30, 80-20. So that's when I started saying, you know what, I'm only going to take trades if this and this happens. For me, it was if the volume was there and the MACD was breaking out on my breakout, I'm only going to take a trade, right? So I made a mistake category that said weak volume, no MACD. And those are two different mistakes, right? So with TraderSync, I can go back and say, and push a button and says, every time you took a trade without volume, this is the result. And of course, obviously, every time I took a trade without volume, the result was a lot lower than the times I took a trade with volume. So when you start doing things like that, you start to develop your own edge. So like this is like the lab, the workshop, the whiteboard in a way. It allows you to really put together and plan out how you are going to be as a trader.
Perfect. Thank you, Juicy. Vegas, same question to you.
Yeah, I just want to comment, that the platform also helps in terms of assessing, like I said, like it's like a coach for me. But sometimes going in too heavy on certain trades and or not going in heavy enough when the opportunity was there. It's like, oh man, that was a breakout. Why didn't I not go heavier? Like, it makes no sense. What was I thinking? So it just highlights things, it helps you to, see your progress. It also gives me confidence too, because when I see things, as a trader, your confidence can get affected. You take a couple losses and then it does play with your emotions as well. And so I think by having the journal, you can actually see your progress and it can help you actually give you a confidence booster, because sometimes it's not that you're not a good trader. It has to do sometimes with maybe mornings are not a good, you're not a morning trader. You're not someone that can handle trading in the morning. Maybe your mind is more clear to trade later in the day. So maybe, some traders will trade in the afternoon, or maybe some traders trade best in the morning. And you know what? They're not as strong in the afternoon. So, it really does give you that opportunity to see your progress, can give you that confidence booster, and hopefully not play and reduce your stress and anxiety, I think, too, as well, because when you don't have a trade that goes your way, it does play with your emotions, or you could be in a trade that's not working out. You wanted to kind of disconnect from the P&L. And so, this can help you find, inspiration in yourself as a trader too, because you're like, you know what, I'm really good, but I'm really good. I'm better when I trade at this time of day. Or you know what, I noticed that every time I trade Tesla, I always have really good success with that, more wins than losses. So that's probably a better trade, that I'm better at trading that, let's say, versus trading the SPY. So, kind of highlights, areas where you are, where your strengths are, and makes you focus. So I think it's, helps in that area as well. So that's kind of where I can see. But yeah, it has there's and you know what, sometimes you might look at the journaling and it doesn't look too pretty, but who cares? Like, the journal's between you and yourself, and you may not like what you see, but you have to face the reality and say, okay, you know what, I sucked at this. I'm going to turn this around, because that's the whole point of the journal, is for you to become better. It's there to, yeah, it's going to critique you, but it's to, it's a coaching opportunity. It's constructive. It's to highlight areas of development. And really, what is the point? You want to achieve your goals. You want to have success, and you want to grow as a trader. You don't want to always be making the same kind of money or the same win rate. You want to always improve. So this tool can definitely help highlight that and give you that opportunity. If you use it consistently, you have to use it. You have to journal it. There's no point in journal here and there, just when you're in the mood. You have to be consistent because, like, like was mentioned earlier by Juicy, the more you journal, the more data to interpret your performance.
How often would you say you kind of need to journal for it to be worth it?
I would say every day if possible, but if you can't do it every day, then I would say at least 3 times a week. At least 3 times a week. I don't think that once a week's enough. I don't think twice a week's enough. At least 50% of the week has to be journaled.
Okay, 50% of the week. I hear that. Definitely makes sense. Okay, same question over to you, Andrew.
What's going on, guys? So I'll give you a very concrete example from my own trading. And this was, I noticed this a while back. Everyone has like a different nature. And some people love to trade momentum. Other people, their brain is naturally more contrarian. And I would say my natural personality type is more contrarian. So I would notice like there would be stocks that were moving, having these great moves to the upside. And I would not be trafficking in those names. And I would be looking for stocks that were essentially laggards or like catch up plays, things of that nature. While there were these other, big movers. And I started to notice that in my trading where it's like, hey, so my stock selection is a little bit on the weak side. I'm entering some of these names that are in downtrends. And then one thing that I love doing is when I go to one of my like worst trades, I'll go back and it'll be like, oh, okay, I put this one on like December 1st of 2021. Then what I'll do is I'll look at the opportunity set on that day. So I'll be like, hey, what other stocks were like really moving around this time frame, and like what were the actual leaders? And when I started doing that, that just really helped solidify things because when you enter a stock that's really not in a nice trend, then let's say it goes against you, immediately in your trade, all of a sudden, like you find yourself, you're just watching that name, and there's so many other moves that you're missing. So I was able to identify that using my trading journal and really be like, oh, okay, my new goal is I want to traffic in stronger stocks. And it's like, the stocks I'm looking for, they need to be above their key moving averages, showing relative strength, all that good stuff. And what I ended up doing was, I went to work and I started automating, a bunch of new screeners for myself that would curate, some of the strongest names and basically deliver them, right to my screen. And ever since I did that, like I added Mark Minervini's trend template, and I added that as a screen, a couple of other screens. Now I find like I'm just naturally trafficking in the better names. And what's so cool is that when you're letting the price action like tell you which names to be in, basically what's going to happen is like when groups fall out of favor, you're not going to be that trader that's like chasing like yesterday's winners. So that has really helped me, and I would not have really figured that out or when to change that had I not looked at my journal.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one there. It's nice to be able to point out and like identify these individual, problems, how they arise, and like you're hearing, a lot of people never discover them until they go in and start journaling. Right? You write down, oh, this trade I was, sentimental, or this trade, right? I took it too early in the day, or you start kind of looking, you're like, wow, like all these trades that I took at 9:32 a.m. in the morning did not work, but all the stuff I did between 10 and 10:30 was working, and you start looking and playing the numbers game. So you can really, go into a lot of areas with that. Okay, same question, TSDR.
So two things. I love talking about my mistakes because I've made so many of them. But thing number one that I have recognized and am working always will probably for the rest of my career be working on improving is appropriate position sizing. And that is, in my opinion, only noticeable by looking back and reviewing your trades. So everyone, you always want to, well, what if this is the one that goes, 1,000% or 50% or 100%, whatever you're trading, so I want to be in that with, $10,000, so I can make, $100,000 or whatever. But in reality, you're going to end up getting stopped out, 90% of the time, because once it goes to negative $100, you're like, well, shit, I'm losing, or crap, sorry, I'm losing $100, and then you end up selling, and then you end up taking $100 losses here and there, over and over again, and you never end up, getting that big win that you're looking for, and so by taking smaller position sizes, you are able to make more, in my opinion. And I truly believe that position sizing appropriately is one of the hidden tricks of successful trading and account growth and uh, uh, consistency in the market, whether you're swing trading or day trading, scalping or investing or whatnot. People always talk about how much cash. If you're a long-term investor, people always talk about how much cash allocation they have. Or I've got 10% allocated in Tesla, like ARKK does. That's a position size. That's an allocation. And when you're going into each individual trade, having an appropriate and manageable position size is the most crucial thing you can manage appropriately, because if you're oversized, you will mismanage the trade every single time. Whether it's a winner or a loser, you will mismanage a trade if you're oversized. If you're undersized, you might only see smaller P&L and say, well, I'm not going to take this trade for $40 profit because it's not worth my time or something. So you let it go, and you let it run a little bit longer when you should have taken profits based on percentage and your position sizing, and then it ends up going against you, and you sell it for the same $40 loss, or you sell it at break even, when if you would have had the appropriate position size, you could have taken $50 profit or $100 profit on it. And it's something that I think every trader will continue to work on as their account size fluctuates, or if you can maintain a certain account size balance. That is point number one. Oh yes, point number two that I have noticed, and I will continue to work on for the rest of my career, is revenge trading. And simply put, if I take a losing trade, if I have a thesis on, let's say, AMD, or let's use AMD, that it is due for a bounce, or whatnot, or if it's due for a pullback, and that's your thesis on it, and you maybe anticipate that trade a little early, or even if the setup is there, for the correct trade, and you end up taking it, but it doesn't go against you, because a setup isn't 100%. The chart isn't 100%. There's nothing that's guaranteed. In the trade, it's all about a probability and being positioned appropriately to exploit that probability, right? And so let's say you take a lot. If I take a loss on it, and I still have that thesis, and I'm like, well, it's going to do it eventually. I know this trade is going to work out, very soon. I can feel it. I can taste it. And then you end up trading it again, and then it starts to do it. Maybe you chase it up, and the setup isn't an A or a B. Maybe it's a C setup, but it's finally doing what you expect it to do, and you end up chasing it up. And then when it pulls back to support, you end up stopping out, and it goes against you again. When I get into a pattern like that, it spirals, and I might end up taking 2 or 3 consecutive losing day trades on something, when after the first loss, I really should just walk away from that stock and go hunt for a setup that is about to work, or has a more appropriate probability, that I have more of an edge in trading, because then I can speak upon the emotions of the revenge trading. But for me, after I take a loss on a trade, if I take more than 2 losses on a trade consecutively, whether it be a day or a couple days in a row, I will let that stock do whatever the heck it's going to do, and I will find something else, because there's opportunities every day in the market, every hour in the market, and I don't need to keep hammering a stock that I don't have the feel for on that given day or that given time or that given week. And yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. I think, kind of what I pulled from what you were saying there was a little bit about the the habits that you can build by understanding yourself. And I think that that was kind of my biggest takeaway from that. So that was really good stuff. Thank you, TSDR. And Simply Sim, did you want to contribute on that topic?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that when you're just like I said, when I was just handwriting, my journaling at that time and trying to figure out what worked for me and what didn't, it was all about figuring out, what was successful for me during that time and what wasn't. And the hardest part was going ahead and laying that out, but not really having a clear picture in front of you. Now, the thing that I like with TraderSync is, just like what Juicy said earlier, it's a clear picture in front of you, right? It's a lot easier to interpret that data. It's a lot easier for you to make certain changes or stick to what you're doing based on that data that's in front of you. On a psychological aspect, you really need that, especially if you're starting out. It's something that is going to provide you with the assistance and also at the same time, just that teaching mindset, right? Or that teacher mindset of what that program is able to provide you with. That program is basically able to provide you with seeing a clear picture of what your potential downside may be, what your upside could have been as well, depending on the way that you trade. So it has to, I think in a lot of ways, for me at least, it saves a lot of time, right? I think that time for a lot of people is everything. Now, a lot of people will say, I don't want to, handwrite things, it's time consuming or whatnot. Something like this, it evaluates the data so efficiently for you where you save up on that time. So there's really no excuses of, why that something like that won't work for you. And because the data is so simplified, again, the user interface is such a simple thing to use, like I said earlier. That's definitely something that has been the biggest, I want to say, benefit, not just for myself, but other traders that jump into this as well, where they're just trying to figure out, what am I doing wrong, and if so, what can I be doing right, right? And for a platform to be able to provide that to you in that way and kind of coach you through the process, it's something that's a game changer. I think in a lot of ways, because again, I was so used to just kind of journaling it out on my own and not understanding the data fully, but to have the clear picture in front of you, to understand that. On top of that, just like what TSDR was talking about when it came to your position sizing, you're able to customize so many features on it. That's been very helpful as well. To take those certain notes down and then go ahead and completely change up if you're having a bad day and you're jumping into Trader Sync and you see that, hey, look, I've consistently been having these bad days. What can I do to change it? Those tips and tricks and those different types of techniques and things that you read that are huge in the system. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. So thank you so much, everybody that's been joining us. We're going to continue going here, but we've already been running as well for about, it's crazy, I think 47 minutes already. Nuts. Really, really cool panel up here. If anyone's unfamiliar, we are speaking with TraderSync, mostly specifically about their platform, which is a journaling platform for investors and traders. So you can go in there, you can put in your trades each day, you can then log those trades, and then we have basically it'll give you a number of different type of data points on your investments, what went right, what went wrong, allow you to look back at it, and just, all different types of things along those lines. Now, we've talked also about how often, a lot of people go ahead and, journal in order for it to be worth it. It seems like you need to be doing that multiple days a week. In addition to that, and obviously that's if you're, days that you're trading. If you're not going to trade, probably not going to journal. In addition to that, we also talked about some of the mistakes that people are learning from. So when you go in specifically on this platform, it'll allow you to write down, hey, this was my mistake on this one, and then you can kind of turn that and use it for other times. But it also allows you to see what went right and build those solid habits. So since we're running for about 50 minutes, I've asked a good amount of questions. TraderSync, I want to just throw it back to you and see if there was any specific topics that you wanted to touch on, as we have kind of a powerhouse here of users of your platform. And if anybody's not already following, Juicy, Vegas, Andrew, TSDR, Simply Sim, they've been awesome. Really great crowd up here tonight. Highly recommend you go ahead, throw them a follow. They're all full-time traders. I'm pretty sure that's how they all support themselves. So if this is something you're trying to learn from, never hurts to learn from the best. And then, of course, check out TraderSync. I am following them. And if you love spaces, the Wolf Account is your one-stop shop for everything investment related. So we'll be doing spaces on stocks, options, crypto, NFTs, everything out there, about 30 hours a week. So you can always check back here. But TraderSync, I'll turn it over to you, see if there's any other topics that I've talked about that you want to hit on.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. I think there's a couple things maybe we get a pull through here with the speakers, but essentially like what your favorite feature is. So I know mine, for instance, the setups feature, I like using it, but what I also like to do is do advanced filtering on top of that. So if I take my setups, I actually want to do a layer filter on that, saying, okay, what price cap of stock does my setups work the best with? Is it small caps, mid cap, large caps? Next, I want to go through the hourly reports. Then I want to go through maybe the sectors. Then after that, maybe I'll go through the whole time. So that's probably my best feature, the one I usually use the most. We can get a pull through at everyone within here. And then likewise, if anyone's tuning in here tonight, we have a 7-day free trial. So by all means, come in, join in. We have a full tutorial wizard to walk you guys through how to journal and get your own journaling platform set up on your own end. So likewise, you can just go to tradersync.com and get yourself set up there. But if Juicy, you want to take off there and just let us know what your favorite feature of TraderSync is.
Hey guys, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna give some advice because it's probably my last time speaking. Because we're about to head into wrap up here. But for me, TraderSync has this thing called a simulator. Now, a big portion of what you guys are gonna do when you log your trade, TraderSync has the ability, which is my other favorite feature, to tag a setup. So if you trade wedges, and let's say you trade bull flag, so you trade both of these particular setups. Every time you take a wedge, that data is compromised into a win and a loss, and it gives you every time like the win percentage, how much you've made, your average win when trading that particular setup versus when you trade another type of setup. And then you can tag in your mistakes. Well, every time I trade it without volume, tag weak volume, it goes there. So now they have a simulator that you can literally say, well, if I had never traded a stock without volume, I can just remove that and I can see how much better I have done. And what that's going to do for you so much on a mental standpoint is going to be great. Now, before we go, there's one thing I want to go ahead and we'll go through this really quick. I need everybody to do this. Go get TraderSync right now, right? Download it, log your trades. Now, every time you guys have taken losses, I want you to do two things. Divide it into two different categories. One's going to be called acceptable losses. Another one's going to be called unacceptable losses. Anytime you take a loss following your trading plan, it goes into the acceptable losses category. And now anytime you take a loss not following your trading plan, it goes into the unacceptable losses category. Your job from here on out is to take as least unacceptable losses as possible. But I'll throw it right back to you, Wolf.
No, that was good, man. Definitely. And yeah, we'll probably go into the wrap up in around 9-ish minutes. It's just for anyone that's not been on Spaces with me today, I did 3 hours in this morning. Then I did another hour and a half during Power Hour. Then I did another hour with SARK, and now we just did another hour. So 3, 4, 5.5, 6.5. We're at 6.5 hours currently on Spaces today. So probably in and I'm sure I'll probably be hopping in something later. I don't know. It's fun. And also I do this full time. I'm just full time with Spaces. So I'm enjoying it. Okay, let's keep it rolling. So I'll take the same question that TraderSync did. Maybe, favorite feature. And then also if anybody wants to add, anything else that they just want to throw out there about journaling, because I've kind of been leading the conversation. You can feel free to add that in addition to it. Just anything, why it helps you, why you do it, anything along those lines. Vegas, you want to go next?
Sure. I like the charting features because you can track your entries a lot better and also get better at exiting, whether it means you should have exited sooner to cut your losses faster or exited later where you could have actually profited more. So I really like that feature. And I also like the back testing features that they have as well, where you can try to compare different setups and how would they have performed under those conditions. You can kind of simulate it and kind of give you an opportunity to look at how would that have worked, so that maybe the next time that opportunity presents itself, you'll be, more prepared for it because you've kind of had that simulation done before. So I like those two features the best.
Perfect. Thank you. Andrew?
Yeah, my favorite feature by far is the trade tagging as well. And the reason why I love the trade tagging is because it gets you more process oriented in terms of how you're trading. And it, more so allows you to create a playbook of setups. And not only that, but it allows you to see what you're doing best. Because in your trading, if you notice a pattern like, hey, this one setup that I'm trading, like this is really my moneymaker, and these others, they're net negative on my P&L, it'll allow you to really focus on what you do best. Like my best setup by far is power earnings gap setups. So for me, it's like, okay, when those come, when earnings season is approaching, that's when I really want to be gearing up and making sure I have enough room in my portfolio to trade some of those. And then the flip side of that is when you're tagging your trades with the setup, sometimes I'll find like I'll go into one of my trades and I'll be like, wow, I took this trade and it didn't actually fit, one of my setups to a T. And that becomes, something you just want to remove, from your trading arsenal. So yeah, it really just allows you to see like what's good, what's bad, and hone in on your strong suits.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, real quick before I go and throw this over to TSDR, just because everybody, we have like 254 people here, and I feel like this could really get done. Um, Personal problem, thing that's been super annoying is I have an imposter on Instagram, and I can get people banned on Twitter very easy. I have a few friends that work at Twitter, but on Instagram I apparently can't, and they're messaging like all my people and all my friends to like try to get them to do some crypto programs. So if you're in here and you don't even have to follow me, all I ask for is if you benefited from this space, if you benefited from any of the trading ideas, from the 6.5 hours of spaces I did today, please, 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 while you're listening, just click into the post. I just pinned it up top. I even put the link in. It takes literally 15 seconds. You just click on the account, just hit report, and they don't even tell you like to give them who they're copying. But if everybody could go in and like 50 people report this account right now, I think we could probably get this account on Instagram banned, and it'll just make my life a lot easier. So I really appreciate anyone that did that. If you drop underneath, I'll even send you a heart emoji if you do that. So thank you, everybody. That is the only pin post right now in the nest. Please support them. Okay, with that being said, TSDR, moving over to you for favorite feature and then anything else you wanted to add.
Yeah, the tagging feature is absolutely incredible, because it just gives you another layer of accountability. So you're not just off the rampant. I can be very impulsive, and just take every. Another reason why I use 5 minute charts, because if I'm using 1 minute charts, everything looks like a setup, half the time, or in a candle pattern, and on 5 minute charts it happens less often. But I will choose something differently. For me, as an active day trader who's in and out of positions in minutes or hours, the time of day is my favorite. Knowing that I actually don't trade very well at the end of the day. People like to come back for power hour. I never trade very well in power hour, so I often don't. I do, unlike most people as well. I usually trade pretty well in the middle of the day, from about 10. I'm Central Time, so from about 11 o'clock to 12:30. I do trade very well. Obviously, the open is my most successful time that I trade. But I used to trade all day, uh, open until close, and continue to take trades at 2:45, all hour, just like I would the open. Um, but I found that I was giving back a lot of my profits, which I still often do, because I'm a very human. But when most people, day traders, aren't trading during lunchtime, or not most, well, some aren't. That's what usually when I'm making the most of my money, and really padding my stats, and making some good profit, because going back to the tag feature, a VWAP pullback or VWAP rejection is my favorite setup. When a stock has trended for most of the day, and drifts back towards the VWAP, and we get a good bounce off that, it's one of my favorite setups, where I'd take an entry right after the stock has a green 5 minute candle close above the VWAP after bouncing, put my stop just below the VWAP, because if it breaks, the setup is invalidated, and then I let the stock do what it wants to do for the rest of the session. And so it's a very risk-reward friendly setup, and that's how I end up, making some good money in the middle of the day. But yeah.
Appreciate you laying out some of your favorite setups there too. That's what I like. It lets you also kind of catalog your setups. Okay, a couple of things real quick. First off, I just want to shout out major love to Wade Stonks, who's in here at Wade Stonks, who is now helping so much with. He's actually in here screen recording this space so that we can put this onto YouTube and to Spotify. So if anybody wants to, re-listen to something, you don't have to listen to it. Obviously, we'll have it on Twitter too, but it's native to Twitter, so we're gonna have it on other platforms also. And he's stepping up so big and just uploaded this one from this morning to YouTube and sent me the recording so I could put it on Spotify. So much love to Wade. Also, shout out to my boy Matt, who's in here. And thank you so much to everybody who went in and just reported that account. Once more, I pinned a tweet in the nest for people who are unfamiliar. There's just a copycat out there. I can't seem to get rid of them. And it looks like I just went in and like 35 people just clicked on that link in the nest and reported. I hopefully reported that person. So if that doesn't get their attention, I don't know what will. If maybe like 10 more people could get on and just, it takes 15 seconds. Literally, don't even have to follow me or anything. But like, if you could report them, it'd make my life a lot simpler. With that being said, the one other thing I did want to mention is a lot of people have been DMing me about this. So I might as well throw it out there. Obviously, we do a lot of spaces. This is our 4th space today. I'm doing like 3 spaces tomorrow, 3 spaces the day after. Try to do at least 3 a day. If you want to know when all of them are, we have a free public Google Calendar. There's over 2,000 investors on it. There are hedge fund managers, CEOs, verified people. People who work at Twitter have DM me and ask me on our Google Calendar because they want to know when our spaces are. If you want to be on it, all you got to do, my DMs are open. Just DM me, ask me on the calendar. If you want to say hi, say hi. I like to say hi back. And we can just have, if you have any questions or anything, try to be accessible and all that. But yeah, if you want to know when all of our spaces are, just DM me. I will add you to it. And you could just overlay it on your personal calendar. And if you don't want it, you can just unsubscribe or toggle it off. It's very easy, very clutter-free. So just wanted to throw that out there because a couple people have actually been DMing me during this to add them to it. With that being said, throwing over the same question to you, Simply Sim. I know that you're maybe not using it anymore, but what's your favorite feature when it comes to journaling, to help you with it?
Favorite feature for me definitely is going to be the identification of patterns. I think, understanding patterns in your trading and getting those reports sent back to you in the most efficient way is really everything for me. I'll keep it very short and simple, but, you use those patterns. It's a determining factor in your trading, right? A lot of the times you'll use those patterns for, hey, what's working for me, what's not working for me, like I said earlier. So it keeps it, again, very simple. It's a determining factor again on your trading of, how successful can I be continuing using this particular pattern? Is this working for me? Is it not going to work for me? A lot of this is trial and error, right? A lot of this is doing it and seeing, okay, well, is this something that I'm going to be successful with, or is it not? Right? You got to be looking at both ways each time, right? That's what comes with journaling, is you really want to see what works for me and what doesn't, and that identification of those patterns and how simplified it is and how it's set up for you and the way that you can read that's everything for me right there. I also agree with all the speakers. The simulation is freaking phenomenal. Really, really recommend using that as well to see that, hey, look, this is something that I didn't use before. If I had used this, how well would I have performed in the market during that time? So that's really it for me right there.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay. With that being said, we made it through a bunch of topics today in relation to journaling. There's definitely more, but we've outlined, I think, clear cases for how often you should be doing it, mistakes you should be looking for, tools you can be using. We've talked about TraderSync's platform a good amount. This is something I would love to hear, like Sarge, who I actually see in the crowd. I'd love to hear if you journal your trades. But this is also being recorded once more, so you'll be able to listen to it back. Y'all are awesome. 50 people already when reported that account. Screw that account. If the link isn't working for you, just let me know. I'll get you a link to find that account. They had blocked me, so I couldn't even find them at first. But now I'm just getting texts from my friends. Hey, I didn't know you had a crypto program. It's because I don't. With that being said, let's move into a little bit of wrap up. So this will just be any final thoughts from any speaker. It can be in relation to journaling. It can be in relation to spaces you're going to be on, whatever you want to say. It is your time to shine. Juicy, you want to kick us off?
Hey guys, I'm actually about to head off here because I'm about to run another live stream here. But for me, I guess the best thing I can tell you guys is log your trades. When you log your trades, you know your stats. When you know your stats, you can improve your stats. Therefore, you can improve your trading. But again, I just want to say thank you to everybody for having me on. Thank you, Trader C. Keep doing what you do. Thanks, Wolf, for putting together these spaces. I'm out. I'm about to run this other live stream. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Be easy, everybody.
Thanks, brother. Take care. Okay, Vegas.
Sorry, I don't know why sometimes I'm trying to unmute. You want my closing thoughts?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that, it's the start of the year. And so if you have not journaled before or it's new for you, you may think it's a bit of a daunting task, but I think you should definitely try it. You have the free trial. So there's, the only investment really is your time, but really think of it as an investment in yourself. And everyone always has like, oh, it's the new year. I have new goals, new this, new that. So try to incorporate a new tool that can actually benefit you. And I think if you try it, you'll see for yourself if it's something that you're benefiting from. If it's not working for you, then the only thing that you've done is invested, 7 days of your time. But if you're going to try the trial, I would say that at least for the full week, journal the whole week. Because if you're only going to do it like 2-3 times, you're probably not going to get all the data that you probably would get. So if you're going to try the trial, try the journaling every single day for a week, and then you'll get an assessment and you'll kind of see if it's something that suits you and that would you'd want to invest in. So, take advantage. I love platforms that offer trials because it gives you that opportunity to also see if it's a fit for you. And I think that a lot of you will be probably surprised that the journaling is not as daunting, and you'll probably actually enjoy and appreciate the data that's actually produced for you because it's a report about yourself as a trader. So I think you probably would find value in that. So take advantage, and there's nothing to lose. Just try it out and see if you like it. If you like it, would love to hear about that on the future spaces. And if you have suggestions, then they're always open. Traders, they're always open to feedback as well. So just check it out. Nothing wrong to try something new.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Vegas, for being on here. Andrew?
Yeah, for closing remarks, I would say, trade journaling is super important, and I think it's a super underrated part of the trading process. And I would say, for everyone in the audience, everyone has different trading goals. And I think, whether or not you need to journal your trades, I think it really just depends on what your trading goals are. Like if you're somebody that wants to keep improving, maybe you want to do this full time one day, you really have to be journaling your trades. And in terms of like edges and alpha sources and those kinds of things, this is a huge edge because most traders and most market participants are not journaling your trades. So you're going to get a huge leg up by doing it. And what I would say, like, it definitely is pretty daunting. Like, oh man, I gotta, start journaling my trades. It takes time. Just see if there's a way that you can add it into your schedule and really create, a habit or a routine out of it, because that's the only way that you're really going to stick to it. So I was journaling my trades either once a week or once a month, and I'm actually going to be changing that to every single day. So next time we appear on this space and we're all together, I challenge you guys, to get your journaling in, and I'm going to do the same. And next time we're on the space, I'll have journaled every single day of this trading week. I highly recommend you guys do the same. If you really want excellence in your trading, you have to put in the work. So that being said, thanks so much for having me on, everyone. And for everyone that has been listening to this conversation, appreciate you all so much.
Definitely echo that sentiment and agreed. You have to make a habit out of some things. I find that the best way for me is just put a little calendar reminder, right? Like every single day, like, I don't know. It doesn't take that long, to be quite honest, if you do it on a daily basis. And if you just set a little calendar reminder, you're like, all right, 6 p.m. each day, I'm going to go in, I'm going to just do this. you just get used to it. It just becomes a part of like habit and schedule. That's how I just operate, is off calendar, but teach their own. Thank you, Andrew. Okay, TSDR.
Excuse me. 1 second. All right. So I would say if you were going to just start journaling your trades today or tomorrow after listening to this call, remember that one day doesn't make a trend, and you need a good amount of um, time and data to actually get accurate information that is actionable from that data. So after a week of trading or a month of trading or even a few months or a year, that actually I would say a year is probably good enough to start drawing from. But um, you have to really compile up that data in order to make it actionable. You have to have some information to pull from, because if you just have made 6 trades over a course of a time, those numbers are going to be very skewed. So if this is something that you're interested in for the long haul, or you already are in it for the long haul and aren't doing this, um, I would recommend letting it play out, observing, and don't make necessarily any drastic changes just yet until you're able to really draw from that information, and then go forward with a constructive plan on how you're going to maybe make some changes to improve your trading, or make some changes to enhance and strengthen your already successful patterns in trading. So that's what I've got.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. And Simply Sim.
Yeah, so just to kind of piggyback off of that, yeah, everybody has a dream in the market. They all want to make money, right? Where's the plan at? So you really have to understand that, having a plan is knowing the do's and the don'ts. And the do's and the don'ts really come from your trading style, what you're doing during that time, what, again, works for you and what doesn't. It's a very simple process. I think this is the most simple platform once again. And I can't emphasize that enough because there's a lot of platforms out there that are very intimidating, right? So when it comes to something like this, something being so user friendly, beginner friendly, even, try it out. It's something to try out, right? What's amazing is they have a 7-day trial, so you can always jump in there, kind of check it out, get a feel for it, and see if it's something that works for you. Assuming that it does in the long run, and stick with it, right? This is something that, when you're in the market, you're continuously learning. The learning game really never ends. So that's really what it is for me, is because that learning game never ends at that time. Evaluating your trades, that also never ends either. So find what works for you. If this is something that works for you guys, that 7-day trial is really everything right there. I would jump into it, kind of see how it works, and use it for those 7 days that you have available. I would jump into the market, and for me, it's something that I would use every single day. You want consistency. You want to see that during that consistency that you have in the market, or you may think you have, you want to see what the do's and the don'ts are. You want to see what your downfall might be in the market. You want to see what's successful and what's working for you in the market. That's really all I have, guys. Really, really appreciate you guys bringing me on as a speaker as well. You guys all have a great night. This is amazing. Thank you, Wolf.
My pleasure. Thank you for being on Simply Sim. One more time, make sure that you're following these speakers. Came on here, shared, I hate to call it, but I'll call it alpha for an hour. Shared their thoughts, their opinions, gave some direction. Again, I'm not a full-time trader. That's not really how I make my living. Right now, I'm just honestly just doing spaces and traveling and trying to meet people. But I am trying to get better at trading because I want it to be, if not a living, a side hustle, and to be able to engage and understand. And by following people and engaging with people who do it full time and have, sometimes decades of experience and have really, like people in this space also have just admitted to all of you that they made mistakes, right? That was the whole purpose of the space, was people that said they made mistakes. So that makes me a lot more comfortable, talking with them, learning from them, the transparency. I know when they make a mistake, they're going to tell me. I'm not going to try to twist it off as, oh, I was actually right. Like, oh, if you had sold at the top, right? Like, not when I sold. That's not what they're here to do. They're here to be transparent. So really, really good follows all around. Okay, Trader Sync, bring us home. Any closing comments?
Yeah, I just think the biggest thing is, guys, go and do your due diligence every time you're journaling. One big suggestion is even if you're doing paper and pen, right? You just want to start out. There's 3 questions you want to ask yourself: the who, the what, and the why. So the who is obviously like, what is the setup, right? How did you come about it? What was you actually looking at trading? The why is, what was the actual conviction? What did you take that trade? And what was the actual thesis behind that? Did you chase it? What was your actual entry point? And then, sorry, I mixed up the last one, but the last one was the how, and how is how you actually managed it, right? So same thing. You don't need a journaling software to do this. You can answer this paper and pen, whatever it takes for you. But go and say, okay, how did you actually manage this trade? How did you manage scaling out? How did you manage your stop losses? How did you manage fully liquefying your position within that trade? So those are just 3 things right there. And then the last point, you'll always, always, always learn more from your losers than your winners. I know all of us, at the end of the day, if we have a really good day trading, journaling, it's awesome to go in and see, okay, hey, I ripped $2,000 on this stock. It's really easy to go and say, hey, this is a setup. This is how I traded it. But on the contrary, those days when you lose $2,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a day, you want to go in and journal, and you have to go and spend 20, 30 minutes going and doing it. It's the hardest, but you'll learn the most lessons from doing that. So just one biggest thing is always journal your losses. They'll give you a ton more information and education than the winners.
Love it. Thank you, Trader Sync. Okay. Really excited that we got to do this. If anybody enjoyed this space, we'll be back on Spaces tomorrow. Really, really great space, actually. Be on the lookout. 11 a.m. EST. This is actually usually my biggest space of the week. That is going to be charting and technical analysis. I will be live with Danny Nas, Ben from Pattern Profits, Jake Wojciech from TrendSpider, Stock Talk Weekly, and Stock Market News. And we will be just taking tickers from the crowd and charting them for like probably an hour, hour and a half. Usually Brian Shannon from Alpha Trends joins us on that as well. This week he's going to be off, but we're going to be making that a regular space Tuesdays at 12 p.m. EST. Then at 5 p.m. EST, I'm going to be doing an NFT space highlighting female-led NFT projects. We're going to have 4 female-led NFT projects on there. We got a really cool space. We actually got a sponsor for that space. That was pretty exciting. And then at 7 p.m. EST tomorrow, we're going to do our weekly Tuesday night market sentiment and stock picking space, which we do every single week. We're going to do it a little bit more organized this week with some time limits, but Vegas and Andrew will be on there. Danny Nas will be on there. We actually have a super full panel. We're going to have like 11 speakers. So that one should be crazy tomorrow night. So a very full day of just talking stocks, engaging with each other, hopefully some green markets. So we have some fun to talk about. Hopefully we start making some direction here so everybody can get a little bit more picky with their picks, a little bit less indecisiveness. I'm just looking forward to it all. To everybody else, my name is Gav Blacksburg. It's been a pleasure being your host tonight, and I will